Hello and welcome back. So continuing on with our terrain patch, time for some more coding.
Yep, not a whole lot in this one though,
No,
surprisingly enough. The setup mesh details is going to rely on a lot of calculations that will be performed in the vertex cache part of the system. But seeing as how we don't have that ability yet, we're not going to be able to add or perform a lot of the code. But I'm going to do some of it there. This recalculate normals, I'm going to copy out of update because we're not going to need it in the update, because when we have all of our code in place, that is going to be handled by the vertex cache, and eventually it'll be baked out into the what am I thinking? It'll be baked out into the data store completely. So we'll only be doing this one time, or whenever we sculpt, we'll recalculate all of the normals and the vertices or tangents and the colors.
you can do
Yeah,
it
I'll
with.
get there. I'll get there. Well, I was trying to type one thing and talk another, and that always confuses me. So basically, but what we will be doing is calling to calculate tangents and normals from this method. So to simulate that effect, I'm going to put the recalculate normals inside of here. The other thing that we will eventually be doing is taking another loop like we did before, which will take our mesh.vertices. Don't say it.
I didn't say a thing.
So our mesh.vertices.length, and we'll iterate through this, and then we will assign all of our mesh.normals, not that mesh, this mesh. So we'll assign all of our normals, and I'll just set this, well, let's do it this way instead. So vector 3.0, and then our tangents. And then our colors. And this will be, let's just say, color dot whites for now. Now, I don't really want to set these, but I do want the code here. So what I'm going to do is just comment this out for now. Because if I were to literally set the normals and tangents to 0, it's going to cause lighting anomalies on our meshes. So we'll just leave this for now, and we'll come back to it. So now we've completed our get vertex data with its helper methods, the get key. We've done set mesh details, and then we call the mesh update, and we adjust the world position. Now, one of the things that I also want to do is I want to set enabled equal to true. Now, this is using the uppercase enabled, the property, not the field itself, because this will execute some code that will force the mesh to update itself so that it becomes visible. So this should be all the code that we need to go ahead and grab a mesh from our pool or instantiate a new one and make it visible in the world. So we can test that by going to the train demo, and I will go ahead and kill this part here. And for our mesh, this will be now a patch. And instead of creating a new mesh, we're going to create a train patch. And we need a position, so I'll give it vector 3.0. And we need a priority, and right now priorities don't matter. They're not going to do anything. And if I go ahead, get rid of this other temporary code that we had in here, we run it. If everything works, we should see a patch. Or not. And then if not, we'll have to figure out why. vertex. Oh, where'd I type that? Ignore. I don't remember typing that. So, but apparently I did. Vertex spacing, vertex count, patch vertex spacing. Oh, I know. That's going to be, no, here. Train generator. Yep, there it is. I forgot to change that.
Gotcha.
So it's clear. So now this will take a little bit longer for the patch to jump in or drop in because we have to initialize the train generator, which takes about 5 seconds. Then it should drop in our patch, but apparently it didn't, or I'm not centered up. So, hey, there it is.
Nice.
So we've got a patch, and we have no light. So let's go ahead and pause this, or stop it, not pause it. But create other, let's put a directional light in real quick. Let's set it to, let's see, facing 60 down, 40 across, just for fun. Rename it sun. Save, build. Wait for the train generator to initialize. And there's our patch. And we're not getting any lighting off of it. And we're not going to get any lighting off of it because I did inside a train mesh. After I've already calculated those normals, then I go ahead and I reassign a whole bunch of normals and tangents. So let me comment those out. So I'm not overwriting what I had. And still no. Why? Shader wants normals, but Mesh TerrainPatch doesn't have them. Okay, fine, be that way. Control C, oops, Control. Comment that out. TerrainPatch, fine. I will recalculate after I assign everything. I was trying to be clever and look at where it got me. All right, so there we go. So now I got my normals.
Cool.
So, and it's all lit up, and we have some terrain. Now, let's see if we are tiling the way we need to be. So if I go to our terrain demo, and I uncomment this bit of code, and instead of using this bit here, I replace it with our new TerrainPatch. We should see a 3x3 grid of patches, and they should all line up, but they don't. And they all look identical to each other. Well, almost identical. So, are those ones identical? No, they're slightly different.
Yeah, it looks like each of the rows are
The
identical.
same. Yep.
Yeah.
So let's see what's going on. All right. Size by size, X by Z. So that all looks like that is operating as it should be. So our error is going to probably be in TerrainPatch. Let's look at our get key. So float position X, float position Y, and position Y should be Z, I believe. So if I go here and run that again, give it a sec for the train generator to fire off. All right, so now everything's different, but our spacing's off.
Yeah.
So now we need to fix our spacing. So let's go ahead, jump over. Now let's check train mesh to make sure that I'm not double translating. So inside of update, position, that's fine, that's fine. Nothing in here should deal with that. TerrainPatch. All right, what am I truly doing? So I'm taking position, multiplying vertex count by vertex spacing. Position. And when I'm doing update, I'm doing that. Let's just to see what happens. Take the equation out of it, so it's just going to be the patch location. It should stack up. Whoa, that's not what I expected. All right, now. So something is off by size of 1. Train demo. So these are 1 by 1s. Train patch, when I create it, gives me a position. So this is going to be -1 to 1. So something is translating everything out of whack. Oh, that's because I've got world position. I was assigning position, but I was doing my calculations based off of world position, which is fine. Vertex count -1. So that's right. But what is positioning my train mesh out of whack? Let's do this real quick. Train demo. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to highlight and comment that out. I want to move 1 unit to the right. This should move me only 1 unit, not 1 whole patch worth. So that is 1 unit to the right, but that's 1 patch or 1/2 of a patch. So something's still offsetting. Oh, yeah. I know what it is. What I did is in TerrainPatch, I'm reassigning the key vertices. The key vertices are coming back translated in world position. And what I should be doing is using the vertex position. So if I take this, do var vertex equals that. Send in the vertex to get my key position. Use my key position to determine the height, but don't reassign the vertices. Basically, I'm moving the vertices out to world position, and they still need to stay in their local mesh space, as opposed to being translated along with everything else. So that should go there. That means I can go ahead and put this back to world position. Now let's see what happens. And Well, I'll just run it with the first test, and then I'll run it with the 9 patches. So, good. Everything's offset, not double offset. So, train demo. It's coming out this one for now. There we
Hey.
go. Once in a while, I, know what I'm talking about. Well, there wasn't a whole lot left to figure out. It's like, yeah, what else could it be? But something to notice is if I turn off these textures,
Mm-hmm.
we get seams. So you can see the normal seams. Because we're using Unity's built-in seaming,
Mm-hmm.
it's not aware of any of the other patches, nor any of the vertices that extend beyond that patch. Just like before, which is why we wrote our own normal calculation programs or methods and
Mm-hmm.
tangents, so that we could extend beyond the boundary of that patch.
Right.
So we're going to still have to use that for this part of the system. Otherwise, we will get this really nasty lighting artifact along the edges.
Okay.
So still have to do that. But let's see. Let's go ahead and put our nice little grass back in. All right, so that takes care of that part of it. Now, go back to our TerrainPatch. We've got one other method that we need to implement for this,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to be our recycle method.
Is this a very short one?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not long enough for its own method.
For
So
its own
otherwise,
method?
or for its own video.
Ah.
Yeah, well, it all blurs together.
Right, right.
So, but it's only about 10 lines of code. So this is going to be the method that gets called when you're done with a mesh. So we're getting ready to remove a patch. We don't want to destroy the mesh because of the memory hit that we'll get. So we want to add it back into our object pool to be reused by another patch along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to call this recycle as opposed to destroy. We're going to do a quick check that checks to make sure that our mesh is not null. So if mesh is not equal to null, then we can go ahead and process it. First thing we want to do, turn off the mesh. We don't want it to be visible when we're done with it. Then we're going to go to the meshes mesh collider. And we're going to find its shared mesh, set it to null. Basically, if we're done with it, we want to make it invisible, but we also don't want to run into it. So we're going to turn it off. Then we're going to take the mesh dot mesh object, and I want to parent this to get it out of the way. But right now we have nothing to parent to. So I'm going to say transform dot parent equals null for the moment. We'll come back here in just a sec to take care of this. Then we're going to go to the my object pool, and then we're going to check in this particular object. So we're going to check in the mesh. We've processed it. We've got it ready to go back into the object pool. Then we check it in. Then we return true, which says basically we were able to process and recycle this. Otherwise, we return false. Now, this whole parenting thing, what I would like to happen is to take all of our mesh objects, the things that show up in our project hierarchy, and parent them to an overall object when they are not being used. So what I'm going to do is we're going to add some more functionality to our object pool, which I believe I put in features. Yep, right here. So we're going to jump up into our object pool, and we're going to create another static property. So this will be a public static game object. Add the Unity engine. I'm going to call this pull object. Give it a getter and a private setter. And then inside of its static constructor, we'll assign pull object a new game object, and we're going to call this pulled objects. So basically, this is just creating an empty game object that we're going to be able to parent things to. So we'll go back to our TerrainPatch. Ooh, I just lost the TerrainPatch. Nice. All right, there's the TerrainPatch. So if we're going to go back to the TerrainPatch, and then here, instead of parenting to null, we're going to go ahead and parent it to myObjectPool dot pull object dot transform. So this will take any object that we're not using and add it to this pulled object or this pull object. Likewise, when we go ahead and we pull something out of that object pool, I would like to unparent it. So what we'll do is do a check if mesh does not equal null. We'll go ahead and take that mesh dot mesh object dot transform dot parent, and we'll set it equal to null. Now this again will also be temporary in that not equal to null. Yeah, it should be, but fine. Wrong key. There we go. Right now, I'm going to set it to null. When we make the train manager, we will have another object that we will use that will parent all of our train patches to. But right now, because we don't have the train manager, we can't do that.
Right.
Now, to demonstrate that this is working, what I will do is set up a train patch. Call this patch, and then we will set patch equal to whatever we're returning out. Then after we've made our grid of patches, I'm going to take that very last patch and I'm going to recycle it. And why are you not happy? Patch, oh, fine. And even though I know it will be, but will it allow me to just, or is it going to be a pain? Let's see what ReSharper suggests I should do. Okay, fine, that works for me too. And then I'll just do an if null check, but I know it won't be. There. Now ReSharper will stop complaining. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to build all 9 of our patches. We're going to take the very last patch that gets built and we're going to recycle it. And then just for fun, let's go ahead and do this. And I'm going to copy this, paste it here, do if input dot get key down. Let's look for keycode dot space. All right, so this will give us a little fun thing to play with. So if I run, give it a sec to fire off the terrain generator, and we should see 8 patches. So our very last patch is not here, but if we look under pulled objects, there's our missing patch.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go ahead and click over here, hit space, Now come back over here. Our pulled object is gone, and our patch came back. So where did it go, though? So, aha, it got renamed. Now, why did it get renamed? Because I had given it a position as opposed to what it had originally. So let's make sure that it goes someplace that we're not going to use. So let's say 3 by 3. That way it shouldn't be overloaded. Because what it did is I moved it and it recalculated all the information based off of it. So it's missing. If I hit space, here's our patch. It brings it back, but it's recalculated all of its information. It's moved it, figured out what its new heights are going to be, what its new normals are going to be, and built a new collider for it and put it where it needs to be.
And its new name. Excuse me, and its
And
new
its
name.
new name. Yep, and it's gotten its new name. So it's been completely repurposed.
Very cool.
So that is the train patch, at least as it is right now, until we add the other classes.
Yeah, as more systems come online, we're going to be revisiting this a good
Yep.
deal.
Yeah, we're going to, I think the next couple of videos are going to deal with our patch builder.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we'll discuss exactly what this patch builder is that we're talking about in the next video.
Sounds fantastic. All right, well, with that, that is going to wrap this video up. Thanks a lot.